Stay humble. Oh, it's a good morning. It's a very good morning. Good morning to all of you joining us. Thank you, as always, for doing so. And in the humblest of ways, I hope that you've had a fantastic weekend. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing well. This is the Gooner Talk, of course, the Raw Reaction Show. Join you every single morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Thank you, as always, for joining me and making this a part of your morning routines. It is incredibly appreciated. I had to take a few minutes just to compose myself, I feel a bit, before going live this morning. So apologies for the slight lateness. I was just watching back some of the goals, in all honesty, just to remind myself of the brilliance of yesterday. Because, when you're in the ground, I do get the benefit of replays because I have a screen in front of me, but it's still not enough to, to really soak it all up, and you're working, you're tapping away. I'll be very honest with you. I definitely broke that unwritten rule of no celebrating in the press box yesterday. There was a couple of fist bumps or whatever in the presser, particularly after Havertz's goal. There was, and then certainly after lewis-skelly and Nwaneri's goals, there was a lack of composure for a brief moment. Certainly, but it was a really, really, really good day. Good morning to you. Join us in the chat box. Really appreciate your time. Let's see who's joining us today. There's plenty of you, nearly closing in on 1,000 already. So many of you listening. Paul, Rich, Shari, Arasilki, Grantley Poo, Southport Gooner again, Martin. Did I say again? I mean Ken. Ken, Brendan, we've got Paul, we've got Z, we've got Brian, we've got Shiv, we've got Dave and Owen, we've got Natty, we've got Carl, Paul, Cena, and plenty more of you guys and girls as well. Thank you so much for listening. All very much appreciated. And without further ado, let's kick on with today's slides. If you could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new around here, those notifications turned on, so you never miss a show. 2 games, 9 goals, and 6 points collected for the men's and women's teams. Of course, earlier in the day, we saw Renee Slegers' side go up to Manchester to beat Manchester City and Vivian Miedemar's Man City side 4-3. A late goal from Stina Blackstenius continues to be the most underrated player in that Arsenal team, to get a very, very big result. And the question was, could the men's team emulate the victory of the women's side? And the answer was, of course, a resounding yes and some. 5-1 win against Manchester City. Who had that on their cards going into the day? Certainly, I don't think any of us did. I mean, I remember doing the show yesterday morning and talking about the score lines and listening about some of your thoughts. And I spoke to James Benge, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. But James Benge, I chatted with, and I was like, "What do you think?" He was like, "Oh, I think they'll do them." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, I think they'll do them." I was like, "Okay." He thought 3-0, I think, at the time. But James was like, "Yeah, I think they'll do them. I just think they're going to be way better." And James Benge was absolutely spot on. And I went into the press conference. First person I saw was James, and said, "You got it spot on." And an amazing result for both sides there. But of course, we focus on that 5-1 victory. The lineup, I think, was everything that was expected besides Ethan. And there was a couple of rumours about whether or not he was fully fit. I think it's more likely that we lean into the idea that for this huge game, he went with the experienced players, besides lewis-skelly, of course. So I just don't think he's given him much of a reason to drop him whatsoever. Not that Nwaneri has, but if there's a little question mark about, kind of about the levels of fitness. Obviously, you're gonna go with your experienced figures, and Trossard and Martinelli had great days. We'll talk about them. Despite not getting on the score sheet, they both had really, really good games, and were very important in Arsenal's victory. But yes, the opening goal was scored by Martin Odegaard. Trossard, as mentioned, getting in with that tackle. Pass played, I think, by Rice to Havertz, who squares it across to Odegaard to finish, to send the Emirates into absolute raptures inside the first 10 minutes of the game. the perfect start, the best start that we could have asked for from an Arsenal perspective. And at that point, I think Arsenal fans, especially with the way in which Havertz then had a chance that was missed, of course, in the first half, that, oh my goodness me, Havertz has to score that chance. And I put a tweet out at half-time, because at half-time the score, of course, was just 1-0. And certainly the kind of the feeling, if you like, around the ground was, we should be winning this by a lot. And Man City had chances. Savinho deflected shot, Raya saves. We'll talk about Raya more detailed towards the end. That brilliant save from Gvardiol's header. And at that point, you're thinking it could be 2-2 at the break. It could be 2-2 at half-time. And thankfully, it wasn't. But just sticking with this Odegaard goal, there's been so much made about Odegaard, particularly not just this season, and like he's not been at his absolute best, but that he doesn't deliver in the biggest games and that he doesn't necessarily contribute enough in those massive, massive fixtures. But my goodness me, he did yesterday. Really strong performance from him, engaging the crowd as always, getting on the score sheet himself, creating opportunities, helping to start breaks, helping to keep the press up. Was just a really strong day from Martin, considering, of course, again, he'd come back from another illness only a week ago. And didn't look particularly great in midweek in Girona, maybe still feeling the effects of that illness from the weekend. But he was back to his best. And a good finish, even though it was another slight... I mean, John Stones, 2 deflections in the game. But Odegaard getting the really important finish to give Arsenal the lead. But the second half kicks off and you're thinking, well, Arsenal need to try and take advantage of this here. And it wasn't the case. Man City were the side much more dominant at the start of the second half. And that dominance eventually paid dividends as a very good cross from Savinho on the right-hand side. Erling Haaland beating William Saliba, not a sentence that we've tended to say too often. And positionally more aware than the Frenchman to be in the right place at the right time, leap and finish very, very well past a helpless David Raya. And at that point, there is a little worry, I think, inside the ground for fans. There was that roar, there was that kind of raucous noise of wanting to get, a response, trying to lift the team. And I think that if Arsenal hadn't have scored so quickly after, as Arteta was asked by Nick Calloway of Haters after the game, I don't know what would have happened in this game had Arsenal not have responded so quickly. But they did respond quickly. It was a misplaced pass, I think, from Foden into Thomas Partey. Partey picks the ball up, takes the ball forwards a few paces before then kind of smashing that ball off of John Stones again, and it fires in past Stefan Ortega. And you're looking in that moment and you're thinking, well, fortune has evaded us all season. We have had no luck whatsoever. Nothing has gone our way. Injuries, illness, ridiculous decisions, late deflections helping John Stones equalise at the Etihad. Our sporting director resigning midway through the first half of the campaign. Gabriel Jesus out injured for the best part of probably a year. We've had so much. I could keep going. There's so much that's gone against us, and we just needed that little bit of luck. And Partey's strike coming off Stones and going at the back of net so soon after Haaland had scored was, I'm hoping, a turning point. I'm hoping it's a levelling of the scales in terms of Arsenal's luck and Arsenal's fortune. And of course, again, it was then on Arsenal to take the game to City. They didn't sit back. They didn't absorb pressure. They didn't want to just be sitting ready with that 2-1 because they know that 2-1 is a vulnerable scoreline. And thankfully, Myles Lewis-Skelly had... And by the way, everything's kind of here has been about the goal, the movement into the box with the ball, the confidence to take it on with his weaker foot, and Stefan Ortega getting a hand to it but failing to push it round the post. What I love most about this goal, other than the celebration, which is amusing, very, very amusing, not to the managers, we'll talk about that later. I loved his desire. I was looking at him inside the box. I think it's Rice. I will double check, but I think it's Declan Rice who plays in the pass. I'm just going to rewind this moment because I think it matters. If you watch the goal back, Rice is on the ball on the right-hand side. Lewis-Skelly is it is Rice. He is calling for the ball. He is standing in the middle of this kind of left half space, calling for the ball, saying, give it to me in this space. He wants it. He's not shying away from it. It's not like he's kind of moving into other areas. Because sometimes there's been a question about, do our fullbacks do enough? Are they doing enough going forwards? Are they offering enough in that attacking third? And he is standing in that left half space, unmarked. Rice is on the ball on the left-hand side. He is calling for the ball. And just that point of calling for the ball so vehemently is what impresses me, perhaps even more than the goal. But when he takes the ball, drives forward again, another sign of that confidence, shuffles left, goes right, hits it with his right boot, which again, at 18 years of age on your weaker foot, to take a chance like that, hits the back of the net. The composure was lost slightly in that moment, and there was definitely a cheer. And I was in the third row this time, and I had the Man City analyst right behind me, and I was worried about an Aston Villa situation all over again, because you kind of lose sense of where you are when you watch football sometimes, and your team scores, as we all very much well know and have all experienced. But then he drops the Haaland celebration, and you're just thinking. And I thought back to that game, and I don't know if it was confirmed that Haaland said, "Who the F are you?" I mean, I know that that's all what the all of the kind of lip reading and all of the videos and the memes and the quote pictures have shown. I don't know 100% if that's what Haaland said to him, but if that is what he said to him, my goodness me, he knows who he is now. What I will say is, obviously, what happened at the end of the Man City game, I think gave Arsenal that motivation to really go and get Man City today. And part of me is hoping that this doesn't have the opposite effect when we play them next time. It probably will, but this is what rivalries are about, aren't they? And then we get our redemption of Kai Havertz. The miss in the first half was genuinely horrendous. There's no beating around the bush there. It was genuinely awful. And I was just yearning for him when he gets the ball in the position that he gets, not to pass it. Because it wasn't just the chance that he missed. There was two other opportunities beyond that in the first half. There was one where Havertz, I think, is released by, I want to say Martinelli or Timber, down the right flank. He's got the chance to run, I think, at Akanji, and just chooses to check back and doesn't. And I was so frustrated that he didn't just go for it and try and beat the Man City defender. And then on the left-hand side, there was another chance where Myles Lewis-Skelly robbed the ball, I think from Nunez, drives forward. He's only got Havertz in support. He lays it to Havertz, and Havertz kind of checks back and lays it back again. And I was so frustrated that he just didn't go and attack the opposition box and really, really go for it. But then obviously Arsenal get a break. Martinelli runs through. Havertz peels off to the right. Pass is perfect from Gabby. He checks back. He can pass it again, but he doesn't. He shoots. He scores. And that moment, I sincerely hope, sends him to the moon in terms of his confidence. I just pray and hope that is a turning point in Havertz's season. Last season, the second half of last season, Havertz had a really, really, really strong second half of the season where his goals were absolutely vital. I really hope that this is a touchstone moment for Havertz once again, and that we've got him in those positions, that when he gets the ball in those positions, he'll have the confidence to score. And horrible fans like Wilfred that still sit here after this result and leave comments like this that can frankly get in the bin. I hope he can put those horrible fans, I say fans, they're inverted quotation marks. I hope he can put those fans to one side. Focus on him, focus on Arsenal, and focus on him delivering what we need. Because we absolutely need Havertz if we're going to go somewhere this season. We're going to need him confident. We're going to need him scoring. We're going to need him clinical. And that's been a big question about him. We're going to need support. We're going to need reinforcement. And today is a big day, and we'll talk about deadline day. Don't worry. But my goodness me, redemption for Kai Havertz. Absolutely excellent. And if you thought the game couldn't get any better, you would be wrong. Because Ethan Nwaneri comes off the bench and fires in the most Ethan Nwaneri goal that we've come to expect, or the most Ethan Nwaneri goal that we have come to enjoy, which is the Arjen Robben inevitability factor of, you know what he's going to do. I know what he's going to do. The opposition knows what he's going to do, but there's nothing that you can do to stop it. As he curls another goal into the far left-hand corner. He just knows how to do it. You could superimpose Saka on top of this picture, by the way, and you would not think twice because you'd think it was Saka that did it. And he's just got that ability like Saka does to do this. And it's so exciting. It's so incredibly exciting to witness and to watch. And I thought the game was done. I was writing up my summary. I thought it was over, and then no. Ethan Nwaneri's firing one in from 25 yards round the keeper. It was the best goal of the game by a distance, but yeah, so good, so brilliant, so exciting, so joyful. And Arsenal win the game 5-1, and the stadium is being played humble by Kendrick Lamar, and it's just party time. It's just glorious, isn't it? There's so many good photos from this game, so many good moments that I think will stick in the minds of fans for the foreseeable future. Stuart McFarlane, David Price taking the images throughout the day. These photos are just great. Like, Arsenal may not win the league this season, and I talked about this last season, right? That people obviously want us to win titles, want us to win trophies. I've had more fun watching Arsenal and enjoying Arsenal these last 3 to 4 years than I have watching Arsenal in a very, very long time, because we're so competitive, we're so full of quality, we're so determined, we've got such an edge to us, we've got such a dislikability by our rivals about us, and I just enjoy watching this Arsenal team so much. And yeah, I want to win trophies, I want to win those titles, and I want to see them lifted, and this team is good enough to be able to win them. This manager is good enough to be able to win them, as we know he has done already. But if you're of the mindset that it's trophies and nothing, and like anything else is just meaningless, you'll just never enjoy this sport, because it's sport. There's loads of teams and there's a very small number of opportunities to win silverware. And so if you're not enjoying the journey, trust me, the destination won't be as fun when you get there, because you've got to enjoy the journey along the way. And this journey has just been so great to enjoy. It's been some really low moments, and really frustrating moments, and really sad moments, and gutting moments. But games like yesterday just reaffirmed that we are indeed a team on the right path. And it was really great to see that. Let's talk about some individual performance. I mean, let's just talk quickly before we go to Rice, talk about Gabriel, because I thought Gabriel, obviously a lot of the conversations, a lot of the talk is all going to be about kind of his antics and the Haaland rivalry, and the telling him to pick up his boot on the floor and celebrating in his face. And but he had another really excellent game. He's just a brilliant defender as well, isn't he? He's so hard to beat. He's so hard to stop. He's so hard to prevent. And he and Partey was really, really, really good as well. Those are the types of performances that we'll miss when eventually he moves on, most likely in the summer. And Martin Zubimendi, if it is to be him, it seems like it is, who will be stepping up to replace Partey. He's got a big, big job to fill. And those types of performances will be expected of Zubimendi if and when he arrives in the summer. Gabriel, though, was great, and dealt with everything that he faced. Absolutely everything that he faced. Declan Rice. What a bargain. 105 million quid. Bargain. Absolutely engine. And the thing is that we go back and forth about what's Rice's best position. What's Declan Rice's best role? And I'm so sure it's 6, but he goes to 8 and he puts in those types of performances, and you're like, woof. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Such an engine. Ran all day, up the pitch, back down the pitch, chasing back, pressing, progressive passing. Obviously, the assist leading to the pass to Myles, lewis-skelly, trusting of his teammates. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. £100 million performance, 100%. And despite not getting a goal or an assist, I don't think, in the game, I really did love Leandro Trossard's display. in this game. He was a nightmare for Matheus Nunes, an absolute nightmare. The technical ability, the check backs, the touches, the passes inside. He deserved a couple of fouls that he didn't get from Peter Banks. We didn't really talk about the ref. I don't really want to talk about the ref. Some people are saying that he had a good game. I don't think he did, to be honest. I think we're just so used to referees being absolutely atrocious that just a bad refereeing performance gets praised these days. I didn't think he was good at all. But Leandro Trossard was so good, so incredibly strong. And again, this is why I don't see the need to move him on, because we've got a huge game here and you've got a player like Trossard stepping up. All the attention should be on the centre forward, not those wide positions at the moment. We've got good wide players. Even with that. And by the way, we've done this result. We beat a Manchester City 5-1 without Bukayo Saka. Without Bukayo Saka. Absolutely amazing. And despite, winning every battle nearly is the caption I've gone with William Saliba, because obviously, yes, there's arguably a question mark about how he defended the Man City goal. It was a very rare mistake from William Saliba to kind of not be in the right place at the right time, not to judge the situation as he usually does. But just take that away for a second and put that in a box, close it up, put it in a corner and never look at it again. Outside of the Man City goal, Saliba had one of his strongest games. One of his strongest games. And I hate that it's been kind of marred a little bit by the mistake with the goal, because outside of that, he was so good, so strong, so brave in so much of what he does, so composed, turning the ball into space. It's just excellent. It's just excellent. So often we see these types of performances from him. And in the biggest, and I said this before the game, I was like, if you're worried about this game, just know that as long as we have Saliba and Gabriel at the back, you've always got a really good chance of holding a team at bay. And now you can add Myles, lewis-skelly and Timber to that, because both of them surrounding them seem to be excellent as well. But this man is the best in the league. And I've been saying it for weeks, months I've been saying this. David Raya is the best goalkeeper in this Premier League. His saves yesterday were unreal. World class. The save from Gabriel from the corner is one of the best saves I've seen live. The reactions to stop that. If you watch it in slow motion, I think it actually takes it away how good of a save it is, because the ball doesn't look like it's that far from Raya's arm. It's already kind of up. Raya's hands are already in a good position, which is obviously credit to him. He's set, he's in the right place. You need to watch this save in real time to kind of really benefit from how good of a save this is. Don't watch the slow motion replays. Don't watch that camera angle from the corner that it whips in. Watch it in real time to understand how strong of a goalkeeper, how quick of a goalkeeper that David Raya is. Because my goodness gracious me. Oh, man, there's some really boring people in the chat today, isn't there? We're just beating Man City 5-1. People pulling our players' average. Go away. David Raya, quick reaction stop. So good. Then another reaction stop from Savinho on the left-hand side. Deflected effort. So he's already got his weight going left. Quickly gets his arm down to his right-hand side. Turns the ball around the post. So good. So good. He's a league-winning level goalkeeper. And we don't talk about goalkeeper debates anymore because there is no debate anymore. It's done. It's dead. It's over. It's not even a discussion. Arsenal made a brilliant decision in getting David Raya in. And, yeah. Now, after the game, we had two very interesting press conferences. Two exceedingly interesting press conferences. Mikel Arteta spoke. I asked him, in fact, I asked him the only question about transfers because I felt someone's got to ask the question about transfers because it's deadline day today. And so I asked Mikel Arteta, first of all, I asked him about Myles Lewis-Skelly because less than 2 years ago, he scored a winning goal against Man City in FA Youth Cup semi-final. And I said, it's been quite a rise since then. What were your emotions like when the ball hit the back of the net? And he says, I wasn't expecting it. He laughed as he was saying it. He says, I was talking, by the way, today with one of our staff members about that he needs to threat more in the final third when he gets in this position. And Ricky did it the other day against Wolves, and our fullbacks now generating these kinds of changes. Same with Urian. He adds threats. He adds a different problem to the opposition. So great. And I said, it's fair to say that fans have got a huge boost off the back of this win. I think they'd get an even bigger boost if tomorrow, today, deadline day, was also a good day. Are you hoping that deadline day will be a really good day? He says, I don't know. My phone has been off with transfer window, forbidden to call me, to text me about any of that. My focus was that that's the best preparation we can have for Wednesday, and that was the only thing I was interested in. So sadly was not giving much away regarding kind of that level, regarding that side of things. He was also asked about the celebrations. He says, I don't know. I haven't seen that. And there's nothing I want to discuss about that down to the players, but they know my view on it. And we have to focus on us. I think clearly, obviously, I think that he is very much of a mindset that we shouldn't be doing that. And he's gonna want to do that. You know, he's obviously gonna want to say that. He's gonna want to be in a position where he he's going to want to kind of downplay it. I think that's very, very obvious, very fair, and not surprising in any way, shape, or form that he's kind of quashed that. He was asked a little bit later on. James Ollie from ESPN said, just going back to the question on the players mimicking Haaland, you said in your answer that the players know your view. What is your view? He said, we have to focus on us and leave anything that happens. It's part of the game on the pitch. Whatever happens there, I think we've been in football a long time. Just leave it. There's nothing there to do. And he was pressed about the Amazon documentary that we saw, and he used Ivan Toney's tweet, as we know, as motivation. He was asked, didn't you do that with Haaland tonight? And he just said no. I think maybe not, because it was Man City. And because obviously Arteta's got this such respect for Pep Guardiola, who has been very big in, you know, those moments for him and helping him. And Pep Guardiola came into the press conference. I don't know if you've seen this. Pep was actually before Arteta. And John Cross asked him about the mimicking of the celebrations, and he said, "That's good." That's good. That was how long the pause was. The pause was so long. Some of you listening on audio maybe even thought the audio cut out. I thought Pep had cut out. I thought he glitched for a second. It was such an awkwardly long pause. It was a really strange moment. Being in that room as he's asked that question, it was so strange. He's got to be asked the question. I shouldn't see anyone complain. It's a journalist's job to ask these things. He has to be asked these things. It's a massive thing. It's a massive story. He should be asked these things. And yeah, it was very interesting. I wonder what that will mean going forwards. Anyway, we've got some more slides because it is deadline day. I'm also really conscious of the time. I've got to be off the show in 20 minutes. I've got an appointment. Because it's deadline day and I'm very, very busy today. So we'll run through this deadline day stuff and we'll try and take some of your we'll try and take some of your comments as well about deadline day, and of course any more comments about the game in the time we've got left. But this is kind of the situation as I'm aware of it right now. Ollie Watkins, the door is not 100% closed. Arsenal remain active. This is a situation that is still not entirely written off. I think it could depend upon if Arsenal are willing to go to kind of a certain level of finance for a deal for Watkins, and secondly, it could also depend upon Aston Villa's chase of Joao Felix, and that also might be in a way important in this. So it's not dead, but I think it's highly unlikely. My thought would be it's highly unlikely at the moment. One player that could be potentially open is Mathys Tel. Mathys Tel of Bayern Munich, of course, we thought had kind of closed the door on an exit. David Ornstein had obviously reported for The Athletic that a few days ago he decided to stay. That may have been the case, but it does seem there's plenty of reports that have come out of Germany. Sky Germany, Florian Pletterberg has reported that Arsenal and Manchester United remain in talks with Bayern Munich, and that so far Man United have been unable to convince Bayern to agree to a deal. That has still opened the door, therefore, for Arsenal. There are suggestions that Arsenal are indeed in talks and interested in Mathys Tel on a short-term option. So this could be a story yet to still follow between now and the end of today, the deadline being 11 o'clock, of course. But as I said on yesterday's show, there could still be a surprise. there could still be something in the wings we don't know about. Just to give you a little bit of insight about what happened on deadline day in the summer regarding Raheem Sterling. As of the morning, it was a categoric no regarding Raheem Sterling. The story of the Sterling, and I know it's not a sign that everybody, likes or is enjoyed or thinks been a success, but what it is it's a case study in how unpredictable the window can be and how unpredictable in particular deadline day can be. As of the time that we sit here right now, there was a 0% chance that Raheem Sterling was going to join Arsenal. It was categorically no. People at the club believed it was a categoric no. They just didn't see any possible way in which this was going to happen. One phone call changed the entire situation. And Chelsea provided a scenario that Arsenal felt was just simply too mad to turn down. And it went from 0% to suddenly this could happen. And yes, that was a scenario where the selling club or the loaning club obviously had a big part to play. But it should stand to you and should give anyone encouragement that deadline day can throw up craziness. Deadline day can throw up ridiculousness. And I've put Jonathan David on this picture because for me, if Arsenal end this window having not signed any forward player, I cannot help but look at this window as a failure because it absolutely is. We would have ended the window in a weaker position than we entered it because we've lost Gabriel Jesus to a long-term injury. That cannot happen. Cannot happen. Arsenal need to find something, and Jonathan David, for me, whose contract is up at the end of this season, yes, there are suggestions that he's in talks over a new deal still with Lille. That hasn't yet happened, but Arsenal have to, in my opinion, find a solution. There is a potential option here to find it. And I'm not saying that Jonathan David is the guy. He's not the answer, but my goodness me, he's a good replacement for Gabriel Jesus, who I think all of us were expecting to leave in the summer. And I think that there was a really good opportunity to replace Gabby J with Jonathan David. 20 goals and 8 assists in 33 appearances this season is a really good return. His finishing numbers are also very good, better than Osimhen's, for the record. And yes, I think it is very, very, very important that Arsenal do something today. The question is, will they? Let's go to a very quick part 2 and some of your thoughts right after this. Okay, let's jump into the chat box. TJ says Semenyo would have been the move. Absolutely not. A wide player is not something Arsenal are looking at. That's changed, obviously, ever since Gabriel Jesus' injury. Arsenal now are looking at centre forwards, and of course, that also is combined with the rise of Ethan Nwaneri. The likelihood of Arsenal going for a wide player is only expected to happen if one of Gabriel Martinelli or Trossard is to leave, because you just don't really. You don't really do that. You don't really go into have 3 left-sided players or 3 right-sided players. You tend to have 2 and maybe then a depth option. But Nwaneri is becoming a big part of the first team squad. So a wide player, I'm sorry, is not to be expected unless something surprising happens today. I guess we'll wait and see. Jay Purdy says news on Zinchenko seems to have died. Any update? There's still interest from Germany, to my understanding, around that. So again, it could still be something that happens on deadline day. I think Arsenal's asking price had put Dortmund off, to what my knowledge was, but maybe indeed that has come down and that could change, which could open up the door. I think with Myles Lewis-Skelly's rise and Tierney being available for us, and Calafiori, of course, still being here, I think we can let Zinchenko go. I think we can do that. So, yeah, it's important to point that out. Preetham says, I don't think that we will get anyone in this window. Should Arteta look at academy players with recent success? Myles Lewis-Skelly, Nwaneri, like Butler or Odegaard? I don't think so. There's just levels to these things. And Butler or Odegaard, I'm sorry, with all respect, is just not on the level of players that are 5 years younger than him in the case of Nwaneri. Temi says, how about Odegaard's Danish cousin, Tom? Apparently he's a striker. Oh, you can go for it, can't we? Clive, just awake. What a night. Now to rewind. I hope your head's not hurting too hard, Clive. I really hope your head's not hurting too badly. Vacan says, remember when Mourinho called Wenger a specialist in failure and we crumbled 6-0 to Chelsea? Great to see the change in mentality in the club from the players to the stadium DJ to Arteta. as well. Oliver says, the quality of Ethan Nwaneri at his age, he would be worth at least 60 million in the market right now. So why not spend something similar on Sesko? The issue with Sesko is that RB Leipzig are just not playing ball. They do not want to sell. And if they do, Arsenal would have to put in a humongous bid to get Benjamin Sesko through the door, which sadly I don't think they are able to do because of UEFA financial restrictions. Culture Monk says, hey TC, great show as always. Can you name any academy forward players that may be able to step up in the mark to back up if we don't sign anyone this window? It's very hard. Max Dowman, because of legislation, is not old enough to help in this season because he doesn't turn 16 until the following season. And of course, he doesn't turn the right age until the next season to be able to help out. Players like Cabia, players like Harriman and Noose, players like Butler Odegaard, they're not yet of that same caliber. They could be one day, who knows? But at the moment, they're just not of that same caliber right now. Andy says, how much of the R2 youngsters saved the club in terms of money? I mean, imagine if you were buying Nwaneri or Myles Lewis-Skelly at their age. Imagine if you were doing that. It's just beyond imagining. Big Marks, thank you so much for the kind donation. Really appreciate your generosity. Very appreciate that indeed. Thank you for listening. Joe says, summer might be even more interesting if Newcastle don't get Champions League football again and Isak hasn't signed a new contract. The whole targets could switch once again. Gooner says, Arteta is mastering the rotation of players and keeping everybody fresh. I think he absolutely got the I think he absolutely did just get right the rotation from the week as well. So that's really, really important. Question here from, where is this? This is a really good point. Where is it? It was Mike's, wasn't it? Big Mike's who dropped that donation. Akpom has just signed for Lille. Could David be free? This is true. Chuba Akpom, former Arsenal player, has joined Lille on loan. Could that open the door to a Jonathan David exit? Maybe. She says, can we still keep Partey? We could renew his contract, although there's absolutely no suggestion right now that's happening. That said, both he and Jorginho, and I know there's news that Jorginho are potentially signing a pre-contract agreement. There is nothing to confirm right now that either of them will stay or go, but it's certainly the feeling is that it will happen. Front row says Mika Bieref was a bad sale. Not really. I know he's doing really well now, but he was never breaking into the Arsenal first team. Sturm Graz paid a club record fee to sign him, and now he's doing well in France as well. So it's just part of what happens. It's easy to say he's a bad sale in hindsight. He was never going to play for Arsenal, mate. So, no, not really. Carl says, what about that song? What song? Daniel says, Tom, why haven't we played Trossard in the middle at 9 more often? He's not that effective. He played there against Girona in midweek and didn't really have a great game. So not for me. Klaus says, Samu is my hunch. Not sure about his form, but let's see. Samu, of course, Omorodian, the Porto striker, has had an excellent season for Porto. 13 goals, 2 assists in 15 Liga Portugal games. Yes, he has been very good so far this season. However, he did get a red card in his last Liga Portugal game, which has seen him suspended for the last 2 matches. So maybe Samuel Morodian becomes a potential player that Arsenal may look at. Neshan, the window closes at 11, I believe, this evening. Yeah, plenty of time for deals still to be done. Mike says, is the shirt staying on for a few days? Maybe it is. Stephen says, best we've played all season, Tom. I thought the work rate and attitude was fantastic. I would agree with you. Absolutely. Stephen says, brilliant performance yesterday. Let's hope that we can take that performance to Newcastle. It's a really good point because I think Newcastle off the back of a defeat against Fulham, Arsenal coming off the back of a 5-1 win against Man City. Repeat that performance, repeat that scoreline, you're in a League Cup final. So do not rule it out that we could indeed potentially beat and turn over that scoreline against Newcastle. I would argue that they are in as bad a form at the moment, or not as bad a form, but certainly they didn't look as convincing, Newcastle, in their last game against Fulham. In fact, their result before the game against Fulham, they beat Southampton. I think they went a goal down in that game, but they lost 4-1 to Bournemouth in the game before that. Their last 2 games at St James's Park, they've scored twice and they've conceded 6. That should give Arsenal plenty of encouragement. Jerry says, would Would the charlatans who criticised Arteta for signing Raya come out and admit their ignorance? Unfortunately, I don't expect it because of their pure arrogance. Sirius says, I enjoyed the game. Happy for the players and the fans, but that win is giving me an empty feeling. I think we will still end up trophyless due to a poor summer window. I know there's a lot of fans that feel that way. I would say put that in a box to one side. Just try and enjoy being a fan. Just try and enjoy being a supporter. Try and enjoy what we've been brought with that victory yesterday. Football, I'm sorry, I know that people think it's all trophies and nothing else matters, but that's not how I view football. If that's how you view football, okay, whatever. But football is more than that to me, and I enjoyed yesterday amazingly. Football is about enjoying the game with your friends, your family, watching games together, celebrating together, enjoying those moments, making those memories. Trophies is a part of it, the biggest part of it, for sure. Winning things is really, really, really important. But there is so many more things that matter in this sport. And enjoying days like yesterday were so key. Cardi says, Thierry Henry spoke about Arsenal being too passive. And when we are on the front foot in games, we are more effective. What do you think? I think yesterday was a perfect example of when Arsenal being on the front foot. But has anyone realised that none of the goals we scored yesterday came from set pieces? 5 goals. 5 goal scorers, 0 goals from set pieces yesterday. Apparently, we're not so reliant on them, it turns out. Vivian says, my advice to enjoy football, game by game. Absolutely. Tom says, did you manage to stay grounded in your seat? No, I didn't. I know I stayed seated. My arms did not stay attached to my laptop. I'll say that. There was definitely a and I clapped Myles Lewis-Skelly like when he I couldn't help but clap because that was just amazing. The goal was absolutely amazing, so brilliant to realize that. Sorry Tom, but I disagree with that. We need a trophy. I never said that we don't need a trophy, mate. I never said that at all. I said trophies are the most important thing, but I said they're not the only thing. I think that's important to think about. Mike says, still grinning here. Best game at the Emirates. Oh, it's a great shout. It's a good debate. That is that the best game at the Emirates? I loved the Liverpool game last season where we won 3-1. That was a really amazing moment. Dad says, Tom, you didn't talk about the other fixtures yesterday. Man United. I don't really talk about teams in the bottom half of the table, mate. Teams that sack their coaches and drop to 13th in the league. Arsenal are 21 points ahead of Manchester United. 21. They are 23 points ahead of Tottenham in the table. Amazing. Samuel says, defo the best game at the Emirates. The result, the context behind it, the performance, all of it. So Nicholas says, sadly, Tom, people only hear what they want to hear. My mum calls it selective hearing. Oh, they absolutely do. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. I'm so frankly, people just go get in the bin. Like anyone bringing their negativity today after yesterday's result have just utterly exposed themselves. They can get in the bin for all I care. I really have no time for it at all today. Yesterday was amazing. As some people point out, the best result of the Emirates, arguably, that we've ever experienced. One of the best memories that we will share for a long time, that game. And if people want to come in and try and spoil it, they can do one, quite frankly. Messi says it's hard. Raf says, sorry, it's hard to beat that Barca game. Yeah, it's that Barca game where Arshavin scores the shirt over the top of his head. That is a very, 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 very good argument. It's definitely up there. It's definitely, those two are very, very, very close. You forget how long we've been at the Emirates, don't you? You forget how long it's been. You start going back like more than a decade and you start to remember some other brilliant results, some other brilliant games at the Emirates from, the days of Arshavin, the days of Henry still, you go back to think about those results, and it's it is funny. You forget some of the games that we've had at this stadium. Sam says, the hilarious, ironic thing is that we're not staying humble at all. And I'm absolutely here for it. Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. You're absolutely spot on. Anyway, that's going to bring... I'm sorry that I've had to cut things short, but it is deadline day. I'm really, really busy, as you can imagine. I can't really sacrifice more than these 45 minutes. I hope that you have enjoyed the show. I hope that you enjoyed yesterday. I really hope some of you miserable people out there can learn to enjoy things more. And I hope that you people that have learned that football is indeed about enjoying things will have a fantastic day. And I sincerely hope that we sign someone. I sincerely hope that things surprise us. And I hope that something happens. So tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., when we're talking about it, because we won't be doing a show until tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I hope that we're talking about a signing. I hope that we're talking about a player. I hope that we're talking about someone. Because if we haven't signed someone, that's really bad. But hopefully something transpires. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal and stay humble.